went on a beautiful hike today up in El Dorado Canyon in Colorado and was just so inspired by the beauty everywhere. Those amazing mountains and the creeks and the clouds and the sky and the birds and the animals. It's just really got me pondering about this reality that we live in, this world that we live in, and how many different forms it takes. In the ancient Hindu scriptures, they call all of this that we experience Maya. And it's not just the external world. As a matter of fact, it's not an external world. We really don't know if there is an external world. There's not really any way to verify that. We don't know the source of our senses. That's a weird thing to say, but that's the most reasonable conclusion I've come to after years of just meditating. That the external world is we don't know if it's there or not. So what is this Maya? This Maya is the world that we create within our own mind. The universe exists within our mind. Yes, we've taken this input from senses and created a universe from it, but is that really what's there? We don't know. Is it actually out there? We don't know. There's a wonderful science fiction story that I read long ago where the ultimate singularity was everybody's brain in a little vat of nutrient, all networked together. We had no more bodies, but we lived our lives as we have always lived our lives. We just did it in the world of thought, where we have actually always done it. But the book made a point of making it a physical reality also, that we actually had no body that moved us through an external world, that we were just brains in a vat. So where am I going with this? Really just playing with thought in some respects, just being amazed at the mystery of the universe beyond what we settle for. The assumptions we make to keep ourselves comfortable and to keep ourselves functional, earning our money and feeding our bodies. But it's really much more than that. There's much more happening here. And yesterday I talked about, coming down to the very first level of mind, to silence the mind and to let yourself be what you are without thought, without any suggestion, or without any relationship to other. Just let yourself be what you are. And yesterday's talk was really motivated by a poem that I read, and by Ili Chiara. I'll never get that name right. But that wonderful set of poems that he's written in this book called Silence of the Mind. And this poem I read about a week ago or so, but I wanted to come back and revisit a few lines here where he says, why do you run toward the future and why do you run toward the past? He says that there's nothing there and that truth will never deliver itself to you from the past or from the future. That the truth lies in this moment, this isness, this being. And he tells us, in order to come to this understanding, to this realization, he says, let us be aware of ourselves all the time, of our wandering thinking, absurd and selfish in its mechanicalness. It always wants to relive the moments it enjoyed and to banish the unpleasant moments far away in the past. And this habit of watching your awareness, watching your mind closely, and just letting it come and go. You resist nothing. If something unpleasant or something impure or whatever comes up in the mind, don't push against it. Don't banish it from the mind. Just let it come and equally let it go. All thoughts arise and then fall away. It's our being bothered by them or drawing some sort of relationship between those thoughts and our idea of self that gives them power. So much power that they create the world that we live in. That when you feel something, right, there's thoughts behind it, and there's a collection of thoughts that come up and frame the reality of the moment for you in an artificial way. And if you're not watching, and you're not paying attention to the nature of your mind, you get caught up in it. And all the suffering and joys seem so real, and you're tossed about by them. What we're talking about doing is standing on the shore of the mind, not in the moving thoughts themselves, but to stand securely on the shore in silence, not affected by your thinking, not controlled by your thinking. Because in thinking, you take a thought by itself has no power. It comes and it goes. But if a thought comes and you identify with it, and then you draw it into your web of related thoughts and related ideas and related emotions and related states of being, it becomes a little bit more powerful. And when you've done that with several thoughts in a row, they create a state of being, a place where you stand and understand the world from that's no longer pure, no longer at ground zero, no longer on the unchanging shore of the mind. But it's caught in the world of change. Everything in this world is just a thought for us. It's the way the body's put together. Our senses seemingly pick something up from a seeming outside. It goes to the proper section of the mind, and the mind presents us in our visual inner world with a symbol for what it has sensed. And we take those symbols and we relate them to one another, and we store them in our memory. And, we go dancing around through life in there. And for someone who's done it in a positive way, a loving way, their inner world is pretty nice. And some of us have made a lot of mistakes or have not really known what we were doing, just sort of bombarded our way through life. And the conditions of our mind are somewhat questionable, whether they're healthy or not. There's depression and there's anxieties and there's longings and different identities that we've captured over the years and struggled with. But all of them are just thinking, just thoughts, just arrangements of ideas in the mind. And so this idea of not running after your past, because it doesn't exist anymore, it is not there. It's just a residue of the present. And to go chasing after desires in the future, not worth your time. The future doesn't exist. You always exist in this now. And so it's really our job to find our contentment in this now, in this being. And I have to say that this exercise that I've shared about yesterday that I've been trying to accomplish, of standing on the shore and just watching mind and not letting it lift my feet off the shore, not letting myself get caught up in a series of thoughts or a series of ideas, not letting myself get pulled into a state of thinking, a place where I stand and interpret the world differently because I'm no longer standing on a stable foundation of isness in my mind. That has caused a lot of freedom. That has given me a lot of strength over things that I've never had strength over before. And I just wanted to share that with you, put it out there for you to think about and to play with, and let me know how it's going.